Hi, thanks for joining me. So today we're going to do another Dreamcast pickups video. It's been a little while since I've done one. First off, we're going to take a look at Sengoku TURB. So this is a game that, historically I haven't thought very highly of, and I think that's strictly because of the graphics for this. As you can see, they look primitive, I think, to say the least. This is more like computer graphics from the mid-'80s kind of a thing. I guess it's obvious that it's a stylistic choice in this case, but I think I always thought of it as being lazy. Whereas I'm starting to wonder if it isn't more kusoge chic in a way. It's pretty interesting. Once I actually sat down to play this, it's surprisingly charming. A lot of things are actually communicated through the animations and stuff. As you can see here, we have these kind of wonderfully bumbling minions. And the font, it's actually really hard to read for me, but it's got this sort of hand-drawn quality to it, with the characters all speaking just one short sound of like some weird non-Japanese sounding thing. But this is it's like an action game, I guess, where you have a certain number of soldiers here that fight with you, and apparently you can get more as time goes by. And this land is engaged in some kind of civil war. It seems like there are these various, it's like cat people and sheep people and stuff like that, and I guess they're fighting against each other. So you're here to help out and save the day, apparently. But I mean, if there were ever a quirky, weird Japanese game, I think that this qualifies. But really, I found myself laughing out loud, and some of the stuff here in the beginning is really quite funny. So this actually seems like a pretty decent game. Next up, we have a game called Erde. Nezu no ki no Shita de, which is, I had to look it up, but it's like under the Juniper trees. So what Dreamcast pickups video would be complete without a game by Kindle Imagine Develop? Here's another one that starts off with one of those sad, sort of flashback dream kind of thingies, and it's pretty interesting. Here we're obviously at a funeral. They're burying this boy's mother, and the father actually says, he's like, she had a pretty long life. She lived to the age of 28, and so like something is a little weird here. And it actually seems like the premise of Logan's Run, kind of, where the characters only live to be, I think in Logan's Run it was 30 until they were, quote unquote renewed. And here he's even saying, like, it's not going to be that long before before I pass away too. And he's like, come on, don't make that face. He's like, when I pass away, you need to pray for me. And that's something, the father was really going on about. He's like, pray for your mother, pray for the wishes of the deceased, and pray to whatever god or thing that you believe in. And so he prays to the tree. That might tie in with the title of the story a little bit. But here you wake up, and it seems like there's a really kind of an interesting, slightly science fiction element to this story. So here you have these little chair kind of virtual reality setups, and it seems like after you wake up, you just kind of plug yourself into that and you go into this other world. So it seems like people in this world are sort of living in a virtual reality, maybe more even than a real one. Here this character, Akira, I think he was just, talking about the dream that you were having, and this girl Aya shows up, like, drop kicks you or something like that. But it seems like, this character, or maybe even both of them, you may only know in this virtual world. So, an interesting seeming game that really had, I would say, a little bit more to it than met the eye at first. Next up is Neo Golden Logres.
Golden Logres.
Logres, excuse me. So, you can see here, this is a video pinball game for the Dreamcast. And it seems like this only came out in Japan. I have three tables here. I don't know if there are any more that are unlockable or selectable. Those were the only ones I could see. And, you know, I'm not much of a pinball aficionado. If you guys watch my other videos, you might remember that I recently played and enjoyed Dragon's Revenge and, what is it, I forget what they are, but the Devil's Crush game on the Sega Genesis. And, you know, those I thought were really fun. This is more traditional, and even traditional in the sense that it's showing you the whole pinball table. I know there's a couple pinball games right now on the PlayStation 4, and one of them kind of scrolls with the ball a little bit more, and I kind of prefer that. I would say, you know, if I had to choose between like styles of pinball game, but this is alright. I mean, for video pinball, these seem like decent tables. I'm not much of a connoisseur. But when I was looking into this originally, I was wondering if we were dealing with something like Get Colonies, where this was actually a Western company, but it looks like it isn't. It says this company, Little Wing, was founded in 1990 by Yoshikatsu Fujita and Reiko F. Nojima. And, you know, they've been making pinball games for a long time. It seems like they're still coming out with them, and they're, you know, being ported to stuff like, you know, iOS and Android and stuff like that. So, very interesting little, you know, pinball, video pinball game here. Next up we have, Dousoukai 2, Again and Refrain, which is kind of redundant. On the spine card here it says, Soshite Aratana Koi no Yokan. So here's a game that I had high hopes for. This is one developed by FNC. You guys may remember that I am something of a fan of Welcome to Pia Carrot. That was developed by Cocktail Soft. And from what I read, FNC is the first initials of two companies, Fairy Tail and Cocktail Soft. I can only you know, assume that they merged. And GameFAQs attributes the first game, Dousoukai, to Cocktail Soft, but this second game is attributed to Fairy Tail. So I don't know how accurate that is, or really how that breaks down, but this intro definitely did not endear the game to me. You start off hearing like some big monologue from each of these girls. She's like, oh, you know, what should I do? You know, Kubo, you know, maybe if you'd like, it's like, would you, you know, go out with me a little bit tomorrow? Like, hang out with me tomorrow? She's like, really? Oh, it's really okay? Oh, thank goodness. It's like, actually, you know, she was really nervous about it, and she lost sleep over whether you were going to say yes or no to her proposition. So, you know, in this manner, you get to know each of these girls. They all have a spiel, and it's kind of nice, you know, you get to hear their voice actress, and they all refer to you differently. It almost reminds me of Sister Princess in that regard. But the title of this means alumni, and it seems like you're all alumni of some, like maybe the tennis club or something like that. In fact, it kind of reminds me of Himitsu Yui ga Itanatsu. I kind of wonder if one of the two of these games weren't influenced by the other. But, you know, and of course that was a dream, so to speak, so you're getting woken up in that typical way. But anyway, suffice to say, I wasn't really impressed with the way that this game started. It certainly may get better, and it may have some potential. Next up, we have something that's French, I believe. Tricolore Crise. I'm not going to try to pronounce that in a French way. It is Tricolore Crise is how the katakana is pronounced. So. Okay, so this game seems like a bit of a breath of fresh air here compared to some of the stuff we've been covering recently. Certainly, one of the reasons I cover so many sort of visual novel adventure style games is that I like them, but it's nice to mix it up with a RPG, especially a sort of nice 3D RPG on the Dreamcast. Here we have, I really like the style of the portraits here. I think they're really interesting, and we're having a mother and daughter argument. The daughter is, you know, it's like, you never understand me, I hate you, blah blah blah. And she goes off to, I guess, apparently seek employment here. And you know, they're making these teams, and I guess she showed off some magic or something that she can do. She summoned some kind of creature, and she's like, well, you know, we need these teams of 3 people. And she's like, oh, I didn't know that. And she's like, well, you know, it's not a problem. I've got some people in mind for you. So she teams you up with these 2, who you saw a little bit about earlier. We've got one, you know, sort of generic warrior kind of character, and another possibly magic user. And you know, one of them is very stoic, and the other girl is pretty nice. And then, you know, from there, it seems like we can actually switch between those characters. We can also, like, go and talk with them and interact with them more. And then we get this nice little 3D map that we can move around on. And, you know, you ended up having a little cutscene where you ran into a character and there was a funny exchange. And then you've got just sort of a typical 3D, you know, RPG battle system here. This is, you know, it's turn-based, but it seems like sort of an active system. Here I used an item because we had gotten our butt kicked in an earlier thing, and here the enemy, an elf apparently. Their portrait looks very different from their 3D model. I don't quite know what's up with that, but they have cast something that causes our attack to go down. But you can see here, you know, this seems like pretty typical stuff, but it's kind of nice looking and fun in that Dreamcast sort of way, and honestly, this game seems pretty cool. And finally, we have this game here. This is Nakoruru Ano Hitoからのおくりもの. So it's like the gift that I got from that person, from them. And you know, I have some like limited editions that I haven't really shown off. I realized I've had some of these for longer than other videos that have shown up, or other games I should say, that have shown up in my pickups videos. This, from what I can tell, is pretty bare bones. So really all that we have is the game here. Same sort of stuff. And then we have this figurine. And you know, I haven't really taken it out of here. I haven't put it together. One of the arms sort of fell out from here, but I got the face there, the front of the hair, little stand, and then this is her body where you're gonna, you know, insert the face and everything else. And yeah, so character from Samurai Showdown. Very interested in this game. Let's take a look. Kamui koten ni mo jiki fuyu ga yatte kuru. Ano hito to deai soshite. Ano hito to wakareta fuyu ga yatte kuru. So, winter is coming to Kamui kotan, the winter where I meet that person and where we are separated. Ano hito wa takusan koto o oshiete kureta. I learned many things from that person. Yuki da. It's snowing. Sono toshi no fuyu, saisho ni futa, so oshiete kureta no mo ano hito data. It's like I learned that from that person. I didn't get to read all that. Moshi donna negai goto demo kanao nara ano hito ni mo ichido aitai. If I could have one wish granted, I would want to see that. I want to see them again. Nakoruru ni aitai. I want to see Nakoruru. So everyone, do you know why spring comes to Kamui Kotan? Tonight I will sing the story of the spirit of spring. It's a story that is sad and painful, but it has the warmth of the spring breeze. So it appears you play this game as a character called Mikato, and she seems to be a vassal or servant of Nakoruru. And here they're like, no, don't die. And they're looking back on the time when they first met Nakoruru. So we kind of flash back and get this maybe a bit of a story within a story. But I wanted you guys to kind of see that whole intro there, just because it was, I thought it was very beautiful, and it was much more kind of sad and beautiful and just gripping than I was expecting it to be, especially a game based on, some 2D fighting series. And, this is interesting. I think this character, she's supposed to be Ainu, which is kind of a Japanese equivalent to American, like Native Americans. The Ainu are like an indigenous people to the Japanese islands, and I think similarly to Native Americans are kind of seen as being somewhat closer to nature. And I sort of love the setting of this game. It's this sort of historic, like old Japanese village, or I guess in this case, Ainu village. Nakoruru is a Miko and a warrior, and previously in that scene you got to ask which of those two characters to tell you something about her. And the one character was really playing up that, oh, she's this scary, terrible, warrior, and the other character's like, no, she's really nice. They're just pulling your leg. But you're kind of intimidated to meet her for the first time. Here you've kind of cleaned up her hut and gotten things ready for her return from this trip. But she's tired and she wants to go to bed right away. And one of the first scenes you get is she has this nightmare. And you go and you're like, oh, are you alright? And she's like, well, it's okay, go back to bed. So right away they sort of establish a little bit of vulnerability on her part, and it seems like she's still kind of just a kid. I think she's probably a little older than sort of the character design here might make her look, but she's really nice too. They kind of give, she's like, oh, do you want something to eat? And you don't have to be so formal with me. But yeah, this is just an interesting looking game. I don't know when I'll really get time to put into this, but out of the games that I've covered, this is just seems way more interesting and much better than I was expecting for this kind of game. So high hopes for this and the RPG, actually Samurai Spirits RPG that I got recently for the Sega Saturn, but that's another video. So that's my Dreamcast pickups. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you'll join me again.